This channel is for educational purposes only. We show you the how-tos. This should not be constituted as financial advice. Please contact a professional in that area to let you know what you should do with your money. What is a tariff? And what does it mean to a consumer? And what does it mean to an investor? We're going to explore these dichotomies of what's going to happen when the cost of goods coming in from other countries goes up and who ends up eating that cost. You get three guesses, but the first two just don't count. First off, what is a tariff? A tariff is a tax or charge that's going to be applied to a product coming into the country once it gets to our docks. Now, it doesn't matter what country it is. Anything that comes through those ports is going to be hit with a tariff. Okay? Who pays that? Does the company or country that the goods originated from pay it? No. That's just an assessment of what is going to cost to sell that merchandise here. And the coast countries do not pay that. A lot of people got that kind of messed up, what that actually means. Think of it this way. Whenever you get a car, whether it's domestic or foreign, there's a sticker on the outside of it. In that sticker is a destination fee. Basically, that's the cost it took to get that product from manufacturer to your dealership. It's baked into the price of the vehicle. The manufacturer doesn't pay the destination fee, you do. Same thing happens with goods coming from other countries, whether it's a vehicle or a banana. Anything that comes from another country that is going to be hit with these tariffs are going to pass those extra fees on to you, the consumer. But who pays them? Well, before it gets to the consumer, it has to go through a reseller, a retailer. And before it gets to that retailer, it has to go through a wholesaler. A wholesaler is usually the company that imports it, and that's the person that is, or the entity that's going to be paying that tariff. It's going to cost more to get that piece of goods or material off that ship and into U.S. customs. Those guys are called importers, and those are where you're going to see the increases in price, because if they have to pay more, guess what? You're going to be paying more. And that's just a little side note. But a lot of us don't really understand who are the importers, the major importers of this country. Well, look at this list, and then you tell me what you think is going to happen. Okay, we know what tariffs are. We know those tariffs are going to be passed on to the consumer, paid by the importer. Okay. Now let's talk about some other terms. Let's talk about free trade agreements. Okay, there was one popular one called NAFTA years back under the Clinton administration, the North American Free Trade Agreement. That allowed for free trade to exist between Mexico, Canada, and the United States. We didn't have to pay taxes, duties, or tariffs on any goods traveling and being sold within these three countries. Um, that was replaced under the first Trump administration by the USMCA. That was the United States Mexico Canada Agreement. Same deal, same principles. Those countries that enjoyed tariff free products moving throughout all three countries were still being offered in the United States. But this recent talk of adding tariffs to countries like Canada is in violation of his own original free trade agreement. Um, Recently, we got another blurb today from Colombia. Evidently, Trump's immigration policy. He wants to send Colombian refugees back to their host countries as part of his campaign promise. And the Colombian president says, no, we're not accepting any direct flights from the United States of these refugees. Okay. Trump is imposing a tariff or floating the idea of imposing tariffs on Colombia. There's a major product coming out of Colombia that we consume every morning. And this is where you have to now start reading the tea leaves as not only a consumer, but an investor. What do you think is going to happen to the cost of coffee when this video goes up tomorrow morning? Yeah, so the smart money, again, we're not financial advisors, but what I would do if I were you, I would take a look at what's happening. There are also other kind of ramifications that's going to happen. Increased cost by the importer, some of those importers on the list, some of those stores that you go to, along with all the other um, uh, things going on with DEI in the country, and how a lot of channels or people like myself are hearing a lot more talk of boycotting these stores because they're removing their uh, diversity and inclusion efforts altogether. So you got that you're dealing with. People are a little bit salty about that. But again, I think a lot of these companies are banking on the fact that we really have nowhere else to go in the short term to get these goods and services that we need. But that said, it's going to be a deterrent for a good portion of the consuming public, right? Now you add this. Companies are maybe seeing less traffic because of the DEI initiatives. Those importers are going to be paying more for the goods that they have on their shelves today. That's going to raise the price of those goods. With increase of price, there is also supply issues. Can't afford to buy as many of those products as we could when there wasn't a tariff on it. Okay, so now we're talking about supply chain issues, not being able to fully stock. All of this points to a potential of not having enough revenue coming in to support their costs, such as wages. And that's usually the first place companies like Walmart or Target will look to cut, is those wages and positions so that they can afford to sustain themselves through these really troubling times. Pay attention to this kind of stuff. Now, as an investor, the short term money is on margins, right? The cost of goods now versus the cost of goods once these tariffs are eliminated. That may be an opportunity for a trader to make money. Keep in mind, follow me on this track here. So if you're not into that kind of trading, I know we talk a lot more about crypto here. We don't really do commodities here, but this is just a pattern of thought that I want to share with you guys, and I want you to understand what's at play here. So we're talking about supply shortages. We're talking about higher unemployment at a time when companies like Walmart had promised to raise the minimum wage to 15. So you have all these external pressures. And currently, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, the job market is getting tight. A lot of companies are doing hiring freezes, including the federal government. Things are going to get a lot tighter. Other countries are already experiencing hyperinflation. This has the potential to do so much more to this country. You have to be aware of these kind of things. So again, pay attention to these terms. Pay attention to your pocketbook and watch what happens tomorrow, particularly with coffee. I just want you guys I'm just going to put a little bug in your ear. See if some of this talk and these tweets are going to have an effect on Wall Street tomorrow. Let me know what you see.